Vinyl community. It's Craig, and this is the Spirit of Vinyl. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. One hell of a week, that's for sure. Ozzy died, so I'm not going to really go into that. I know we've all been saddened by that news, even though it was expected. Ozzy to me, he was one of the first guys when I got into metal music. When I first got into hard rock and metal, my first band was Kiss, of course. And then it was like Ozzy and Black Sabbath and AC/DC and Iron Maiden. Those were really the first core bands I got into before things spread out. So Ozzy will always have that place in my heart. Even though I kind of fell off after like No More Tears, but that says more about my taste in changing rather than Ozzy stopping doing what he was doing, because he was doing the same thing he's always done. It's just my taste changed as time went on. But forever Black Sabbath, and those first, 5 or 6 Ozzy albums, great stuff. Speak of the Devil was one of those first albums I had as a teenager I listened to all the time. I know it was an Ozzy solo album, but it was all Black Sabbath songs, but that was one of those core things that started my day. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Rest in peace, Ozzy. All right, well, first we'll start here. Beer of the week. This was called Tropical Beer Hug. 9.9% ABV, and it is from Goose Island Beer Company out of Chicago, Illinois. It says they've been around since 1988. I stopped at the store. I bought this essentially. Says it's a beach vacation for your taste buds. It's a Imperial IPA. Like I said, pretty high alcohol content. I've never had this before, so we're going to crack it open and see what it tastes like. Now, I'm not like a super beer aficionado. I just know what I like. I don't have, like Alex, Beer and Vinyl, he's got the nice glass and he talks about the head and the flavor notes and everything else. But, Alex, cheers to you. Rest in peace, Ozzy. Alex, everybody else who's having a cheers tonight, happy Friday. Let's give it a drink here. Let's see what we taste like. Smells pretty good. Not bad. Little hoppy. I expected it to be more fruity with the name Tropical Beer Hug. Not really that fruity, but definitely. Yeah, it's a pretty good beer. It's a little hoppy. It's got a little bit of that bitterness to it, and it's really not as fruity as I would have expected. There's a little bit of grapefruit in the background, but overall. Anyway, tonight, what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to jump on a challenge. He said it's not a thread, it's a challenge. And this is for Thomas at Merciful Metal, who I just discovered just like basically yesterday. JC, damn it. Let's see here so I don't feel like a total and complete fucking idiot. Let me make sure I give the right credit where credit is due, right? Mega Jeff, that's it. That's who I'm talking about here. Jeff over at Mega Jeff's Hard Rock Vinyl. Mega Jeff's Rock Hard Vinyl. I guess I never really caught that it was Rock Hard Vinyl. So Jeff did this thread, and I was like, that's a cool idea. Not a thread, it's a challenge. And he said it was for Thomas. And I went and checked out Thomas's page, and Thomas seems like a pretty cool guy. So his channel is called Merciful Metal. I'll put a link to his challenge down below. And, you know how it goes. Just look in the notes. You know what you're doing. So anyway, what Thomas wanted us to do is you can go to Discogs on your app, and you can put in a filter and go by year, and then look at your years. It'll tell you how many records you have from that year. And he wanted you to pick the biggest year with the most amount of records you have in that year, and then show 10 records. And he didn't say like 10 metal albums or whatever. He just said 10 records. Of course, I thought since he was Merciful Metal, he just wanted to see metal. I realized later he didn't, but I'd already picked out my stuff. Hard rock metal. I could have picked a bunch of other things from there. The flaw in this is it only shows when the copy you have was pressed, not necessarily when the album was released. So if you go in and you look and it shows the year, your most years, those were when those albums were pressed. So it's not going to show you, if you got 1984, it's not going to show you your 2016 repress of Ride the Lightning, even though the album came out in 84, because your copy came out in 2016. So it's showing when your album was pressed. But it's just the flaw in the system. He wasn't looking for the most albums that were debuted in the year that you have or whatever. So what this is showing is the most albums from the year I have, my year, which was surprising to me. I thought it would have been a different year. When I saw the number, I was like, wow, that's weird that it's that year. My year is 1980. And I would have thought it would have been more towards the mid to late 80s, 85 to 87 or something like that with the amount of music. And I'm sure, I was actually looking at release dates. It'd probably be more like the mid 80s where I have the music. But when it comes to presses, what I have year-wise is 1980 is the most. And it wasn't a ton. 86, I think, was the number. So, but it was well ahead all the other years I had. So I picked 10 records in that list out of the 1980. And like I said, they're all going to be kind of hard rock, heavy metal type things. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and get started. This one is Hot Spikes by the band Fist. Fist was a Canadian band from what I understand. And this is actually the only record I have by these guys, and I've only played it like once or twice. It's okay. It wasn't what I was expecting when I bought it. I was expecting something a lot heavier. This is it is a hard rock album though. It's not terrible, but other than these two guys up top, I don't know. That guy there in the middle with the flowered shirt, they don't look like they're a metal band, but they're definitely sort of a hard rock type sound. Not bad, but there's a little confusion when it comes to Fist because there's also another band called Fist that's from Europe that sounds different, and that's why I got confused. Because when I Googled Fist, I saw this thrash band or something. Like, all right, I'm buying this record. It was like $5 at the record store. I got it home. It was not that, but that's okay. It wasn't terrible. So, Fist, Hot Spikes. Another one of my 1980s. And all these records that I have that I picked actually came out in 1980. Scorpions, Animal Magnetism. This one has my favorite Scorpions song on it. I think this is a great record all the way around, but it has the zoo, and I've always loved that song. That's the thing. When I saw it in 1980, I'm like, hell, I was only 11 years old in 1980, but I got a lot of music from 1980, and this is one of them, and this is a 1980 press. All of these obviously are 1980 presses because that's what we're talking about. But it's got the zoo on it, Falling in Love, Animal Magnetism, Make It Real. There's some good songs on here, but the zoo, that's enough reason for me to buy this record automatically. All right. Next, 1980. Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell. First album with Dio. Japanese pressing, of course. But this is a great record. Honestly, it really is. With Sabbath, it's so hard because, the early stuff with Ozzy was so great. But these couple records with Dio were excellent. This is an excellent record. It really is. They had some really good stuff. So, Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell. All right, another one. This is Samson, and it is called Head On. Samson, new wave of British heavy metal band. Bruce Dickinson on vocals. I've talked about this in a past episode when I first saw this. This was one of the ones in the dumpster find, and I saw this guy in the front cover, and I'm like, I'm keeping this record no matter what. And I had no idea who was in this band or anything about this band when I saw this record. I had no idea. And then I'm listening to it, and the back of it says their lead singer's name is Bruce Bruce, and I'm like, that sounds like Bruce Dickinson. So I did some Googling, and sure enough, this is the band Dickinson was in before he joined Iron Maiden. Also in 1980, Def Leppard releases their debut album, On Through the Night. Rock Brigade, Hello America, this, When the Walls Come Tumbling Down. This is a great record. It's a pretty cool debut. I like this one a lot. Not quite as much as their next one. High and Dry is, that's a killer record. But On Through the Night by Def Leppard. All right, here's another one. Girl, Sheer Greed. This is a really cool, it's kind of an early 80s new wave of British heavy metal kind of sound. Phil Lewis from LA Guns and Phil from Def Leppard's in this band. So, but yeah, this is their early stuff. Pretty good record. It's on Jet. It's on the Jet label. I've listened to it a few times. I really do like it. I just don't play this enough as much as it should be, but I really like this one too. 1980 so far is showing up to be a hell of a year. All right, speaking of Girl, we'll go right on to Girls' School. Demolition. This, man, great record. These four back here, these girls back here, they kick ass. Girls' School kicks ass. I saw they just reformed and they're out touring and kicking ass right now. This is a great album, man. Just blown away by how good it is. I've been looking for more Girls' School. It's hard to find. It's expensive. I feel lucky to have this. Japanese press. Also, all these Japanese presses that you're seeing today, they're all part of that dumpster find that I've talked about on more than one occasion. Girls' School Demolition, kick-ass record right there. All right, time for another drink of this beer here. All right, let's see here. Iron Maiden, self-titled, comes out same year. Paul Di'Anno on vocals, Japanese pressing, obviously. What can be said? Iron Maiden, I love all of it up to, I don't know. But these first two are great. I mean, the Di'Anno era of Maiden, I really enjoy. And I get it, they sound completely different, and they really hit their heyday when Bruce joins the band. But I really do dig these first two records, and this is a killer record. Early new wave of British heavy metal. It's got more of a punky kind of sound to it. It's the way Di'Anno sang back then. Really killer stuff right there. Another one that really takes a band and puts them over the top. Judas Priest, British Steel, 1980. This album really, Priest was pretty popular and they were getting popular, but this record right here, I think British Steel is what turned Priest into a really good metal band, into like an iconic metal band. I think British Steel really puts them over the top, that worldwide everybody knows who Judas Priest is. And I think it's due to this record, obviously. This is their worldwide mainstream thing, in my opinion. All right, I got one more. It's 1980. It's also got a brand new singer, and it's still the greatest selling hard rock album of all time. And you know what I'm talking about, AC/DC, Back in Black. First album, Brian Johnson, after Bond's death. Pretty much people weren't sure what they were going to do. How does a band recuperate from losing somebody who died and getting somebody completely new and basically unknown to replace him? What are they going to do? They're going to put out one of the greatest hard rock albums of all time. AC/DC's Back in Black. It's been shown a million times on these channels. It's been talked about over and over. Everybody knows this. If you listen to rock and roll, you know Back in Black, you know Hell's Bells, you know You Shook Me All Night Long, you know Shoot the Thrills, you know the whole thing. This is a killer record. So there we go. 10 records, Thomas at Merciful Metal. There's your 10 from 1980. All right, well, I want to thank you all for watching. I also want to say hey to all the guys who went to Buffalo this last weekend and hung out with Mike from MGK Boston. And it looks like you guys had a blast. I wish I could have been there. Trevor and Gary and, I'll forget, and Steve and Emma and all those people, you guys looked like you had a freaking blast. Brian, Embryonic Robot, all you guys are awesome. It was so fun watching all your videos, watching you guys out having fun at, going to Niagara Falls and going to record stores and hanging out and the Colton Awards and the whole 9 yards. You guys were awesome. That looked like a fucking blast, man. I wish I could have been there. But, life has other things. I had just gotten back from vacation. There's no way the hell my boss is going to let me take another one. So, anyway, thanks all for watching once again. I appreciate every single one of you. I don't like to shill or anything, but, like and share. I'm doing, when I started this, I didn't expect anybody to really watch it all. And, now I've got 250 some odd subs, which is fine. It'd be nice to have more. I get, my certain amount of views every week, and that's fine. I'm not in this for fame and fortune. I'm just in this to have a good time, and I just want to share my good time with more people. So, go ahead and share it out and let people know or whatever if you want, and if not, I don't really care. It's cool, it'd be cool. But, that's what they say you got to do. If you want to get more followers on YouTube, you should make sure you tell them to like and subscribe and push the button. Whatever. I want to thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it. God, I'm only a half beer deep into this. I got one more of these. I'm drinking them all tonight. And that's a lot for me. I don't, whatever. Anyway, I'm rambling on and on and on and on, and that's just what I feel like doing, I guess. So, like I said, thanks, guys. Thank everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. Go give Thomas over at Merciful Metal. Go give him a listen or a watch and a like and subscribe and all that, and, look up that Discogs thing. I'll tell you, it doesn't work if you're on your computer. You got to use your phone. That's the only way I could get it to work. I couldn't find the button on my computer to sort by year. So the sort by year on the computer shows you when you put them in, not what year the album came out. It shows you when, if you click on year, it just puts them in, you put these albums in 2022 or whatever. When you enter them in Discogs, it does not show you the other way around. So you got to use your phone if you want to do this. So unless you guys are smarter than me. So anyway, go give Thomas a little look-see over there. And Jeff at Mega Jeff's Rock Hard Vinyl. And that's how I found Thomas, was through Jeff. So have a good one, guys. I'll talk to y'all later, man. Cheers.